Have you ever just looked at something, a piece of art, a website, anything, and wondered what makes it work? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret language behind every single visual you see. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks that designers use to create, well, everything. Okay, let's start with a bit of a puzzle. Picture this. On one hand, you've got the beautiful, intricate storytelling of a Matabani painting. And on the other, you have the straight, functional, guiding lines of a national highway. I mean, they seem like total opposites, right? What could they possibly share? Believe it or not, they're both composed using the exact same visual language. It's a universal language that doesn't use words, but speaks to us through what we see. And the key to understanding this language lies in its grammar, which we call the elements of design. These are the absolute basic, must-have ingredients that a designer has in their toolkit. Here's a really simple way to think about it. See them as the alphabet of this visual language. You know, just like A, B, and C combine to form words and sentences, these elements combine to create every single design you've ever laid your eyes on. So, ready to learn this new alphabet? We'll kick things off by understanding the big picture, the visual alphabet itself. Then we'll dive into each letter. We'll start with a line, move to defining space with shape and form, add some feeling with color and texture, and finally create depth using space and value. Okay, first up, the visual alphabet. Before we jump into the individual pieces, let's just quickly talk about why this whole concept is so important. And it's so much more than just making things look nice. This alphabet is like a superpower for designers. It allows them to communicate a really specific idea without words, to organize a ton of information so it's not overwhelming, to create something that's just genuinely beautiful, and maybe most importantly, to guide your eye exactly where they want it to go. All right, let's get to our very first letter in the alphabet. It all starts with the most basic element there is, the line. It's that first stroke, that simple path of a moving point. But don't let its simplicity fool you. A line can have so many different personalities. It can be straight and strong, curved and graceful, super thick and bold, or thin and delicate. At the end of the day, it's just the trail a single point leaves behind as it moves. And once you start looking, you see lines absolutely everywhere. They form the detailed borders that frame a Madhubani painting, they create the silhouette in a fashion sketch, and of course, they bring order to our highways, telling us where to go. Next up, shape and form. So we're moving on from a simple path, and now we're talking about defining actual space. This is where we level up from the flat world of 2 dimensions into the world of 3D. So let's start with shape. A shape is basically any flat 2-dimensional area that's closed off. A perfect and really beautiful example from our culture is a traditional rangoli. All those intricate, geometric, and floral patterns, they're all made of shapes. Form, on the other hand, literally steps out from the page. It's a 3-dimensional object. It has height, width, and depth. Think of something you can actually hold, like a handmade clay pot, or something that takes up room, like a chair. So here's the simplest way to remember the difference. A shape, like a drawing of a circle, exists on a surface. It's totally flat. But a form, like a real-life ball, actually occupies space. That's the big difference. All right, let's add some life and feeling into the mix. Now we're talking about color and texture. These are the elements that really get into our emotions and give us that sense of touch, even if we're just looking at something. You could argue that color is the most expressive and powerful element a designer has. It has this incredible ability to affect our emotions, change our mood, and it's deeply, deeply connected to cultural meanings. For example, just think about the explosion of vibrant colors during Holi, or the warm golden glow of Diwali. In Indian culture, colors mean so much. Red is all about celebration, new beginnings, good fortune. White often stands for purity and simplicity. Designers know this, and they use these colors to tap right into those feelings. And then there's texture. This is all about the surface quality of an object. And it's not just how it literally feels, but how our eyes think it would feel. You can almost imagine the smooth, cool glide of a silk sari versus the coarse, earthy feel of a jute bag. That sensation is texture, and it adds such a rich layer to any design. Okay, on to our final pair of elements, space and value. Now, this is where things get really interesting. This is the art of using emptiness and the play of light to create the illusion of depth. First, space. We're talking about the area around, between, and even inside of things. And really smart designers pay a lot of attention to the empty parts, what we call negative space. It's not just wasted room, it's essential. It gives the important parts of the design room to breathe and keeps things from feeling chaotic and cluttered. And our last element is value. And that's really just a fancy word for how light or dark a color is. This is how designers get to play with light itself. By using strong contrasts between light and dark values, they can create shadows and highlights, making a totally flat image suddenly feel like it has real weight and dimension. So let's recap. We've got our 7 building blocks: the path of a line, the flat area of a shape, the three-dimensional presence of a form, the emotion of color, the perceived feel of texture, the breathing room of space, and the light and shadow of value. And here's the amazing part. Every single design you see, the clothes you're wearing, that app on your phone, a poster on the street, is built using some combination of these 7 elements. It's a truly universal language. So, you've just been handed the keys. You've learned the fundamental alphabet of all visual communication. These building blocks are yours to play with now. So the only real question left is, what are you going to create?